Okay, so there's a section of the notes pertaining to XPath. XPath is a navigational query language for XML. XQuery is built on top of XPath. Um, the notes on the subject are pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go through them here. Instead, what you see in front of me is an online testing tool. So there's a code sample using XPath inside of Java, but there's a number of different tools online readily available for you to test XPath queries. So what I've loaded in here in the XML pane of the window that you see um, is the slide 37 example from the slide deck under the XPath section. Um, and from there, I'm going to execute some of the sample queries, not all of them, but some of the sample queries to give you an idea of what they look like when executed by an XPath tool. So one, for example, was address all author elements. So we use root node library and try and get all the author elements inside, right? We would expect to see 3 elements come back here, right? Because we can see there are 3 author elements underneath the root library element. And sure enough, we get it. And we get it as a full document with a result tag here. Another one we talked about is getting the same thing, right? Because there's just the library, we can also go from the root and look for all author elements. We get the same thing back. We also had examples looking for books, right? So we can get, excuse me, all books certainly. We can also get books whose title is artificial intelligence. Okay. So different ways of doing the filterings, right? The test in square brackets is that filter expression. We also looked positionally at elements, so we can get authors by cardinality, right? We had the first, second, and third author. So if, for example, we can get the author Henry Wise, we can change that back to the second one. Okay, William Smart, and you can see positionally reading top to bottom. Notice how it's starting counting at 1, so it's not like programmers where you think of an index array at 0. It starts counting the elements in the node list at 1, so 1 does mean the first one. And then we can do things off of that as well, right? We can get the this is another example from your notes. We can get the last book that third author, Cynthia Singleton, authored. So we get the browser technology revised, which you would expect, because again, that's the last one that shows up here. So there's a number of different ones that you can execute. You can cut and paste in here. There's other tools like this out there, but you get the feel for that path-oriented nature of XPath queries, that navigational mechanism of querying by using a tool like this. So you have other examples in your notes. You have the example with the books and the publisher, for example, and several XPath expression in that one. So I suggest you go off and try those ones as well. Just get a feel for XPath as a query language.